G'day guys and girls, Brad Murphy, the bow hunting coach here again. Today we've got a quick review on the Revolution arrow saw by Last Chance Archery. This is a saw I've had for a couple of months now and really find it a really nice piece of kit. There are cheaper arrow saws out on the market and stuff, but this is probably the duck's guts. Like all Last Chance Archery products, it's really quality made. It is a bit more expensive than just a normal arrow saw, but for what you get, if you're cutting a lot of arrows like me, whether it's your own arrows or friends' arrows and stuff as well, or especially if you're a shop, well worth the money, well worth the investment. So I'll run you through it quickly. It's got a couple of different things to what a normal arrow saw does. Up here is a little bucket that you put water in, and actually you can drip feed some water down into there, which when you're cutting the carbon shafts, it basically wettens down the dust so you don't get the carbon dust in the air. It's also got a tube at the back here that you can attach a vacuum to suck that whatever extra carbon dust there is out. It's a really good sort of system, especially if you're cutting a lot of arrows. You just don't want that carbon dust floating around and breathing that in. Okay. The other part to this tool is it's actually got a squaring device in there, so an arrow squaring to square up the end of your shaft. So once you've cut it, I'll show you this, I'll take you through quickly cutting an arrow in a minute, but once you've finished cutting it, you can pop it in there and actually square up the end of your shaft, make sure you're getting a nice square shaft before you put your insert in, which is a really handy tool. It's got different size bristles to roughen up and smooth out the inside of the shaft, and then again a couple of foam little fluffy pads to get out all the carbon dust before you put your insert in. Okay, and that's quite important, to clean out the inside of your shaft to get that carbon dust out, so that the glue will stick well between the insert itself and the shaft itself. The one thing about this is, because I've noticed with the water, I don't tend to get as much carbon inside the shaft as what I used to, and you'll see that when I cut this arrow. That it must be because of that dust in the air. That's what must feed it up into that shaft a bit. It doesn't tend to seem to get anywhere near as much carbon inside the shaft, which is quite good. The saw itself runs at a faster speed than a normal arrow saw, so one, you get a better cut, but it's also a lot quieter. I know my previous arrow saw, which wasn't it was a average sort of arrow saw, I would never be able to get quite a clean cut unless I really concentrated on it, and I'd put it in, cut a little bit, take it out, and have to keep spinning it to get that even cut. With this, I think with the blade running a bit faster and it being a lot more solid, there's no movement in that blade, I get a really good cut to start with, so there's not much squaring that I need to do afterwards. A couple of other nifty little things. It's got an arrow spinner already on here. Ooh, they're right if I had that set up. But yeah, so you can spin your arrows, check your broadhead alignment, things like that. Okay, you can see this Zot is spinning perfectly well. All right. That's all adjustable lengthwise, stuff like that, quite easy. These just unscrew, move it to wherever you want. Okay. Same with the guide. It's like all arrow saws, it's got a measuring tape on that. My arrows are around about 30 inches long, cutting from the nock. You can change it so that you can cut it with the nock, you can take it off, cut it without the nock, no problems at all. You can also still cut them with a fletched arrow. So if you're cutting down your arrows from, if you wreck yours and then you're cutting them down for your wife or your son or something like that, you can certainly do that. So yeah, really good piece of equipment. So I'll quickly take you through cutting one. And it's really quite simple. So basically, I just turn a little bit of water on, just want a little bit of a drip, and you'll see that dripping down through here as soon as I turn that motor on. See that water just coming down there now? Fast, and now I can slow it off, just a nice slow drip. And you hear that it's not that loud. Pop it on. Done. Take it off, onto the arrow spinner, into the squaring device. Square it all up, you can turn that water off now. Turn that off. You'll see not much carbon dust there at all. Okay. Then quickly on there to roughen up the inside of the shaft. And then give it a good tweak over there. And you can see there's not much carbon dust comes out of this, as opposed to what used to happen, when you put a Q-tip up there or anything like that. So again, you're probably not going to see this quite clearly, but it's a very nice right angle cut. So there's that insert's going to fit in there nice and smoothly, nice and snugly. Okay. Got a couple of other little things. There's a broad-headed tool there as well. As I said, all of this stuff is all really manoeuvrable and stuff like that. You can slide anything out of the way, whatever you like. I really like the cut of this saw, and also the fact that it keeps that carbon dust down, and you don't tend to get too much carbon dust, and you get a nice even cut. All right. So that's the Revolution arrow saw. Probably a little bit expensive for us guys in Australia, and one thing that you will need to know, and that's the same with any electronic products that we buy from the US, they run on 110 volts or 115, I think this one is. We're 240 volts, so you'll need to get an adapter, something like this. J-Car, places like that. I think I paid about $40 for that, and it works for everything. So I've had that for years from other arrow saw and a couple of other things. So for this kind of stuff, I think it works pretty well. Just a nice cheap one. That's about it. I think we've covered everything with that. If you have any questions or anything about the arrow saw or any other reviews that you're going to see coming up, popping up over the next few weeks, please feel free to contact me. It's brad@thebowhuntingcoach.com or via Instagram just at the bowhuntingcoach. Okay. If not, hope that provided a little bit of information for you. And any questions, as I said, please hit me up anytime. All right. Thanks again for watching.